The Alternative episode 12 has arrived right here, Hibiki TMD on YouTube. I am back yet again right here, Travis from Hibiki TMD, and for the first time this year, not the show, but this guy, my co-host, the official 100% sure as shit co-host, Colin Dunn is back. What's going on, man? Very, very happy to have you back. How was your holidays? Where can everyone catch you?
It's good to be back. I enjoyed my little vacation from everything, but I'm glad to be back behind the microphone. I'm excited for 2020. I'm excited to see what the year will bring us. We're 9 days in as I'm recording this, and I'm looking forward to seeing where AEW goes in 2020, where the show can go in 2020. So I'm excited to be back. Vacation was good. Spent some time in Arizona with my family. Spent some time in Bakersfield with my friends. Now I'm back up in the mountains. I'm ready to go. As always, you can check me out on Twitter at UberTieGuy, and follow me on Instagram. Same name, just underscores in between the words.
Yes, sir. And speaking of excited, I'm already excited to give you this gift and all the listeners' gifts, Colin. An early, belated Christmas gift. That's weird to say. It doesn't even make sense. Doesn't matter because we are now officially on ProWrestlingJournal.com, a part of the official podcast network over there. Episode 11's up. This is there too. Pro Wrestling Journal Podcast, Union Smack Tenant Talks. That is all brand spanking new. What a way to kick in the new year, Colin. Thank you to Drew Ortman and all the fantastic writers for having us over there. It means the world to all of us. As always on Twitter, myself at the Hibiki TMD. That red button down below, hit it. All the best retro gaming and pro wrestling. What a way to kick off the year, huh, Colin?
And the thing is, I didn't get a chance to watch the show live as I was traveling back up to where I live and where I work. And I just kept hearing everyone. They were just like, "Oh, this show's terrible. It's awful," and blah blah blah. So I was a bit skeptical when I turned the show on and everything like that. We had a great tag team match to open the show, and I'm like, I guess it just goes downhill from here. But I mean, Travis, I can't complain. I only have one major complaint, and we can get to that later in the show. But other than that, that was a good episode. That was a good episode.
It's just that inevitable place that we all know we're going to get to eventually. Everybody knows what we're talking about, the big sour note of this show. It's the elephant in the room. We'll get there. Before we do, definitely don't want to, because they didn't start this episode of Dynamite off negative. Before we get to anything in the episode, Colin, I feel like people, sometimes they get lost in negativity so much because you just like me, we watched this pretty much simultaneously tonight, not together, but just at the same time, because I always watch it the day after. You pretty much do too for the most parts, but it's impossible, right, to avoid spoilers. I'm not one of those people like, fuck you, spoiler. Like, it's my own fault for getting on social media in the first place, whatever. So I see just people saying, this episode was shit. It's the worst thing I've ever seen. But yeah, the key word is Brandy Rhodes in a lot of this. And the Brandy Rhodes segment, it's obviously we're talking about Brandy Rhodes. It's the worst part of the company. It's the worst part of this episode. It has been. Been saying it for weeks. It's no surprise that something we say becomes true, Colin.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the thing. And I mean, that was the main reason that a lot of people, didn't like the episode, and they were just saying like, yeah, the whole thing wasn't good, blah blah blah. But I'm like, I mean, all the matches were pretty solid. Other than that one stupid angle, I can't complain about the show. I mean, it's and it was I've broken my streaks, I guess. I'll go back and watch it at some point. But I didn't get a chance to watch last week's AEW Dynamite. But, I mean, I heard last week's episode, pretty solid. Good way to kick off the year.
Shout out again to Drew filling in last week. We both graded it B+, A-. It was a good episode. I got to be honest.
And so, I think, and I had some of my friends who I talked to a lot about wrestling saying how, when the numbers came out this today, for the ratings and how AEW was, I think, close to 1 million, but not quite. And they had, I think, about a 200,000-300,000 lead over NXT. A couple of my friends said, I wonder if it'll stay that way with how bad this episode was. And like I said, I saw this episode. I'm like, what was bad? Other than the obvious. Like, what was so bad about this episode?
Thank God you steered that ship, because I was about to say 5 minutes in, you're already making me break my New Year's resolution. I'm not talking about ratings this year, Colin. It's the first time I've said it to you on air. You got to help me with this. It's going to be rough.
I'll I'll be the ratings man.
You be the ratings man, and I'll just sit here in Japan with Dave Meltzer.
Exactly.
It just happened to rhyme. It is not really there. We are really here, though, Colin. This took place. You would think it took place in fucking Memphis. It actually took place in Missouri, correct?
Really? I mean, the whole idea was the whole thing was like, bringing light to Memphis legends. But I mean, no, I'm pretty sure. No, it was in. Yeah, no, it was in Memphis. I'm looking up. It was in Memphis.
Why did I think it was in Missouri?
My dad's in Missouri, but I mean, I don't think wrestling was this week.
Your dad's in Missouri, but AEW is not. All right.
No.
Either way, they had this whole theme going in, which I really appreciated, especially someone like me, Colin. You already know I'm a wrestling dork, but a lot of this drove home. Seeing guys like Dave Brown on commentary to kick off the first match, Jimmy Valiant, Lanny Poffo, just all these guys. I tweeted that when they first announced it. Without Lawler, though, it's kind of like watching Hulk Hogan's Rock and Wrestling without Hulk Hogan. Just didn't feel complete. And that's not to disrespect any of those guys. It is what it is. It's Lawler. It's
but
Memphis.
I mean, when you talk about Memphis legends, it's like Jerry Lawler's obviously, I feel like, the first person to come to a lot of people's minds. And I mean, and they're gonna have more of the Memphis legends on AEW Dark this Tuesday. I know that much. So I mean, if you thought you missed out on any, don't worry, there'll be more if you watch AEW Dark. Yeah. But no, it was definitely cool. I mean. And you have someone like me who's 20 years old. I see, what did you say his name? Don Brown?
Dave Brown.
Dave Brown, yeah.
Memphis
I saw him on commentary, and I was like, I have no idea who this old gentleman is, but I'm sure that he's there for a reason. But I mean, I knew who Lanny Poffo was, obviously, and I had heard of Jimmy Valiant. So I mean, it's cool to see the throwback sometimes.
Now. Back to the all due respect thing. Obviously, Dave Brown, way past his prime. He kind of, I wouldn't say soundbited his way in this opening match, by the way, with Private Party, Kenny Omega, and Adam Page, which we, kicking off this week. We'll just get right into it, Colin. He couldn't keep up. But look at the state of affairs here. Like, can't give him shit, really. If anything, that's more really on the company for having him out there in the first place.
But the thing is, they only had him out for the opening match. So
exactly.
It's not like they just had him there the entire show.
At first, I worried. I was like, "Oh, are we going to get a lot of Dave Brown tonight? Somebody call an audible, maybe." I don't know. But no.
Thank God he left. So later in the show, we could have Brandy. But we'll get to that one later.
Give me a whole booth full of Dave Browns past his prime. I will say I'm with you, man. I didn't hate this tag match. It was fine. It did what it needed to do. It didn't overdo anything. If anything, my only complaint in this match is that the V trigger is completely nullified in 2020. Is it a finisher anymore? Is it done?
I mean, I don't think he ever used it as. I watched his career in New Japan for a while, and I don't think he ever really finished a match with a V trigger. I mean, it's one of those moves where it's like you hit it. Obviously, it's kind of one of those things where, like, well, he might as well pin, see what he can get, but it's never going to be the finish.
Yeah, fair. At least he did get with his actual finish, the pin here.
Right.
Successful over Private Party. First time I've really seen fans kind of fit, even when they were in there with, like, Lucha Brothers and stuff. I've never really seen fans boo Private Party until this match. Maybe it's just me.
I mean, it's Kenny Omega, it's Hangman Page, two guys who are super over. I mean, they've started the fucking company. I like this match a lot, though. I thought it was super fun, a really great tag team match. I thought I like the story they're telling with Hangman Page, Kenny Omega, because I know, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, last week the whole idea was like all the elite was in the ring to close out the show, but Hangman Page refused to join everyone. He kind of stayed back.
He just hung out in his cowboy shirt.
Exactly. I will say I love all of the little anecdotes they put above his name. This week's was will not pay Private Party that $12. I think it's great. But yeah, no, I'm liking the story Page is telling. He's trying to establish himself as his own guy. He doesn't want the elite name to be the reason he's famous. He wants it to be his own name. And I thought it worked out well. I mean, Omega got the pin. I think that might come back and, cause some drama at some point. Page didn't look happy about it, but he when he saw that Omega was getting the pin and he saw, I think it was whoever isn't Quinn.
Mark Quinn?
Coming into the ring, Well, I think Mark Quinn was the one that got pinned. I'm talking Isaiah Cassidy. That's the other one. Isaiah Cassidy was sliding back into the ring to break it up. Hangman Page fought him off. They win the match. I think, yeah, no, I'm liking the story. I'm interested to see where it goes.
I will say this. I feel like we didn't get to talk about it either. You weren't here. The Scott Hall, it's just the easiest thing to compare to because it's not like that. At first on paper, last week, its debut of him doing this drinking gimmick, it comes off the Scott Hall. So I had to call it the Scott Hall gimmick. And I'm going to keep doing it. The Scott Hall gimmick, when not overdone, is this. You know why? The reaction alone he got on his entrance here, maybe the loudest one he's gotten since the last, not Full Gear, the one before that, the title match.
I don't remember who it was, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
It's given him, it's just given interest. It's given him another layer. He especially, even though it was during the picture-in-picture, when he went into the crowd and chugged like almost 10 beers, he kind of, it's not coming off as Scott Hall. It's starting to come off a little like Steve Austin, and I'm digging it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think Hangman Page is going to be one of the biggest stars by the end of this year, and I mean, and you can soundbite this and play this at the last show of 2020, and I could either be, so right or I could be so wrong. Time will tell. I'm
with you. 5 years from now, if this company's maybe not, I'll go 3. It's a safe year bet. 3 years from now, Chris Statlander and Adam Page probably be the two biggest acts in each division. That's fair to say. And are we in agreement that Adam Page is both our top 3s of all the talent?
I mean, it's hard to not put him in your top 3, at least top 5. I mean, he's one of the best on the roster. He's one of the few that, Page is one of the guys that they've been consistently telling a story from the first AEW show to now. And that's what I like about his character. Not to put him up there.
Just for me in ring and just every time I see him work, one of the best, it's because he's well-rounded. He can work pretty much any style. He paces his matches. His high spots are in there, yes. I feel like, but his are more when they're necessary to get just the flow of the match and the psychology and just the shit makes sense. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
I don't know. So he's got that X factor for me. He's AEW Seth Rollins, I feel like, in a way. When everybody likes Seth.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's very obvious to me, at least, that they're building up towards a Hangman Page heel turn. I mean, it seems like he's kind of.
Or
he's
something.
Cheered a lot, but he's up for something big. But I think a big part of it was the fact that you saw on the jumbotron, Pac was, I believe. He was hitting the rings of Saturn. I want to say it was on Nakazawa. I won't swear to it, though. That's what commentary said.
Yeah.
And he was demanding a rematch with Omega. He wants the rubber match and everything like that. And, you kind of saw Paige. He's just like, why does he want you? Why doesn't he want me? Why are you getting this spotlight, So I think the Hangman heel turn is coming sooner rather than later, but I want to see them take their time with it.
Same, and we'll get to that in one sec. On the Adam Page thing, I want to throw in once again on the well-rounded stuff I was talking about. Just this entire, the structure of this match was based around just teasing accidental hits. Omega accidentally hitting Page, or when's Page going to have enough, or the other way around, right? Page's facial expressions were great. He looked fucking frustrated at certain points. Like, I really thought it was coming. It never did, but I thought the tension was sold really great. For Omega, I was very critical of Kenny Omega. That was my rant of the week last week, was Kenny Omega and just how his styles transition. I know he's got a lot on his plate with the female agent backstage. Is he phoning it in because he just has too much going on? This may be one of the best showcases I've seen of Kenny Omega in any match he's had in AEW yet. I mean, he made me eat my words this week. He was tolerable. He didn't do the jazz hands a lot, and he wasn't so I wish I was an anime weeb shit. It was fun. It was just, this is more the guy that I liked back in like 2015, 2016,
Right. One of my friends was telling me how him and his brother who watched wrestling, they were talking about how they could see them sort of throwing a swerve, a wrench into this, and Omega turns heel. And they would like it if Omega kind of goes on sort of like a Minoru Suzuki type heel run, where he's just there to kick ass and beat the shit out of everyone, and that's it. And I think Omega could pull that off really well if they build it up to it.
Where I flip that, and this whole tease of Paige and the Elite this whole time, it's all for nothing because Pac is the actual behind the Dark Order. And they just devour the Elite. I mean, what other guy besides like Pentagon Jr. is more evil than Pac?
I didn't think about that, but that would be an interesting one.
Who knows? I think it's time, man. I think it's women's title match time. God damn it!
I don't want to hate everything that happened here, but it's hard not to. I love Chris Statlander. I've said it already, and I'll say it again. She's my favorite in AEW right now as far as the women are concerned.
And on the other end of that, I've been critical on Riho too. And finally, she's wrestling for someone her size should be wrestling more, not this. She's never, we've said it before, and I've heard other shows say it, she never wrestles like she's coming up from underneath. She never wrestles like the underdog. But finally, I saw more of that here. She didn't really have a fucking choice, because it's more of a David Goliath here, because Chris Statlander is
like 5'1". It's hard to find anyone who isn't going to be bigger than her at this case anyways. But and the thing is, first of all, Brandy was on commentary immediately, at the start of the match. So I think everyone kind of had to realize, great, something stupid's going to happen here.
AEW women's title match. This show, by the way, 2 matches in. By the way, it's the anniversary of the company, Colin.
Is it?
This show, the anniversary episode a year ago, was that press conference and the pep rally and all that stuff.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. It all led up to this, I guess, but I just want it to go away. It's so bad. Before we got any entrances or anything, we got Brandy Rhodes, like you said, on camera with it was your commentary team. No Taz this week, which I was bummed out about. We didn't talk about that either. He thought he was fine last week, like you never missed a beat, Colin.
Oh yeah, no, I heard a lot of people singing the praises of Taz on commentary, so I think whenever JR wants to call it a day, I think Taz would be the best case scenario to replace him.
Right, and credit to the actual commentary team on this. This was pretty much all on Brandy for me. Realistically, she pretty much, it's like she studied every old school heel as a guest commentator and just picked one announcer to go all in on for this entire match, and it was Excalibur. And just the attempt at the roast, it's not that the lines were bad sometimes, it was just like you said,
no, they were
execution.
It's just like, he wears a mask, he was a wrestler, he was a luchador, it's a whole history thing, and you said Brandy sitting here like, I bet you're ugly under that mask. It's like, fucking what? Get over yourself. Like, just stop. It's not good.
I don't want to get ranty, and I'm trying not to, but I feel like it just can. Everyone just finally say it. I get it. She does a lot by his side. It says she's a good woman. In real life, I'm sure she's very nice. There's absolutely right now, Colin, in my opinion, for Brandy Rhodes to be on TV in any capacity whatsoever, she's not needed. She doesn't add anything. The only thing she could add positive to anything, like a layer to a cake, is the MJF storyline right now. That's it. Other than that, she detiers. She's like a vacuum of talent. She just takes everyone's talent she's on screen with, for me and a lot of people, and it's just a black hole, man. It's bad. It's porn levels bad of acting, Colin.
It's not good. And then, I feel like they didn't even give them enough time to. Actually, that's kind of better. I'm tired of 25-minute fantastic wrestling matches always ending with this kind of thing. So at least with this match, it's like they gave them 5-10 minutes and then they just cut to the bullshit and stuff like that. So at least we didn't have to waste too much time. But Brandy's on commentary. You had Awesome Kong and Melanie Cruz coming out. And, they were fighting everything off. The ref wasn't calling for the bell, which was nice. And then we got the reveal of this bald man, Japanese death match legend Luther was
the cousin of Walter.
Basically, he comes underneath the mat, provides the distraction, and then they all just beat the shit out of each other a little bit more, and Rio got the win because Awesome Kong swept the legs of Chris Statlander in a move. It wasn't good. It didn't come off good. This whole Nightmare Collective storyline is bad. I don't like it. And it takes a lot out of anything for me to genuinely not like it and think it's stupid and bad. And this is one of those cases where it's like, we got to stop doing this, at least the way they're trying to do it.
It's across the board, like we have said, I feel like, Colin, from episode motherfucking 1 with AEW, just too many dark stables. It negates certain it totally makes the Butcher, the Bunny, and the Blade feel unspecial, that the fact that there's a Dark Order and this bullshit. It's just too much. It blends.
And they add, and now it's like, I don't even know who's feuding with the Nightmare Collective anymore, because, I mean, after the match, you had Awesome Kong attacking Chris Statlander. Rio tried to help, but it didn't work. I mean, Akira Shida and Dr. Britt Baker were...
Carmella. Oh, wait.
Right. Akira Shida made the save a little bit. Britt Baker just kind of stayed back, watched it all happen. So, I mean, it's like... There's so many off branches of this thing where it's like, oh, what's going to happen with that? What's going to happen with this? And it's too much to follow. And I mean, and then you had Big Swole and Sonny Kiss come out to help chase off the Nightmare Collective. And it's like, no one has seen Sonny Kiss since, like, I think the first or second episode of AEW. And I have no idea what Big Swole has to do with any of it, you know, let alone Sonny Kiss. It's like, I don't know why Sonny Kiss is even out there. And so it's just, it's so much. You know, they're adding so much and doing so much, and it's just not needed.
Yeah, I totally agree. 100% agree. It is. It's cliche, but this is Russo levels right here. This segment was WCW 2000. Fair?
Pretty fair, yeah.
And back on the Luther thing real quick. For one, they should have just called him Gangrel, because he looked like Gangrel if he was bald.
Yeah. They should have just gotten Gangrel.
Exactly. You're a niche company for now. I hate to say it, but you're a niche product. This guy is like an ultra. I barely even fucking know this, and you know how much of an uber nerd I am with wrestling. I barely know who Dr. Luther is, but I do know Anita. Fuck, I can't say Hayabusa. He's dead. Mr. Pogo, all these fucking guys. Anyone else they could have picked for this role, Colin? Friggin' fucking Tommy Dreamer. I don't give a shit. Ugh.
I kind of like the idea of bringing Gangrel. I think he'd be kind of cool to see
in
AEW and in this kind of role. I mean, and to be perfectly honest with you, I have no idea who Luther is. I've never heard of him up until, you know, last week when people were like, yeah, this is the guy. They just haven't revealed it yet. And so it's one of those things where it's like, I know about as much about Luther as anyone else does. And it's like, great, he's here. Why? What does it have to do with anything going on in this?
To be completely serious, though, the in-ring, and like I tweeted out earlier, it's such a disservice to both women that just there's so much potential, especially in Chris Statlander. But Rio, I can take or leave. For me, with that route, Shida is more money for me than Riho. When I see Chris Statlander, there's so many parallels to Charlotte. Visually, the way she works, the moonsault, just so much. This alpha female type thing, not the alien thing, obviously. But do you see what it's just? I don't know. That's kind of people talk about WWF and WCW dream matches back in the day. Already, that would be a dream match for me between both companies.
Yeah, and I mean, and the thing is, AEW's women's division is the weakest area in AEW, I think, by far.
There's so much potential, though, if they just do it.
There's so much potential, but they're not utilizing it correctly. They're not doing what they should. I mean, every other company's women division fucking sweeps them under the rug by a country mile.
I honestly feel like after this, what they gave us last night, and I feel like this is across the boards, too, whether you hate them or love them, Meltzer, Alvarez, every single podcast pretty much agrees they just need to hurry up and hit, not the cheap plug, one of my podcasts, but they need to hit the reset button on this division and do it fast before it's something. Just let them. There's so many people don't understand how many. You can't just make them disappear. They have to write them off television. No, do you not know anything about pro wrestling? You know how many fucking guys just disappeared off the face of the earth when I was a kid, without the internet? Not a trace, and it was fine. Goodbye, Nightmare Collective.
Yeah, no, I'm on board. Just fucking do what you want to do with them, but then afterwards, make it stop. Just for the love of God, make things stop.
You know what I actually was not aware of until I was watching this episode was that Sammy Guevara. Let's get on something else. And Christopher Daniels was announced. And I don't shit on Sammy Guevara. I think he plays his role tremendously. Obviously he's young and there's a lot of work to be done, and I think it's smart to put him in there with a guy like Daniels. But Jesus Christ, Colin, does it feel good when a big multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar, if you will, Colin, wrestling company takes a podcast from two unknown fuck faces like you and me, takes this great idea about a certain botch, or was it a botch, and take that idea and do this off into the sunset veteran gimmick like you and I came up with, what, a month ago?
I've been saying from day one they need to just hire us. They need to make us the official podcast for the show. I mean, unfortunately, that means we're going to have to get on our hands and knees for Brandy Rhodes every week. But I mean, I think
I'll work from home. I will work from home. No, I'll work from home if that's the case.
There we go. I mean, yeah, I think we could do sort of like a CM Punk type thing like he does on Backstage. Yeah, sure, we're supposed to review and work for this company, but if it's bad, we're going to let people know it's bad.
You want to know CM Punk's job description right now, Colin? It's pretty simple. Go to work, show up, say, fuck you, go home, cash check.
I couldn't think of a better job to have.
And what better guy to give that fucking role to? Shout out to The Miz.
Honestly.
Jesus. No, this match wasn't spectacular, but I do love that they're going with what, to be serious, what we said, not to be a complete cocky jackass, but it's still our idea.
Yeah.
Did I love the Dark Order coming down afterwards during the match? Can Sammy Guevara figure out his gear so we don't have to look at his ass cheeks every fucking goddamn week? Also?
I mean, it was definitely an interesting angle. I mean, and I don't know if they teased anything with it last week, but to me at least, it was confusing because I'm like, I don't know if the Dark Order and SCU have had any real problems with each other outside of maybe a match or two that was scheduled. But other than that, it's like you have Evil Uno coming down and he's talking about Christopher Daniels and saying if I never met you 15 years ago, I wouldn't be who I am today. And I don't think that's going to go anywhere, but I did think that was sort of like a nice touch to add at least. But it's like, okay. And so I do like how Stu Grayson and Alex Reynolds and John Silver, I will say I like how they said they've recruited them and now they're with them. Yeah, and so I think that's cool that at least they're following up on things. They're kind of gaining a following, so to speak.
Shout out to Klondike Bill. Shout out to Klondike Bill real quick on Twitter, Colin. He put it out there. It's real simple. I feel like this group needs just that one big name to kind of have them taken as a credible faction. It's not there yet.
Pretty much. Match itself, nothing great. I mean, it wasn't anything tremendous, but it wasn't bad either. I did like how they brought out Pentagon and they were just like, show me you can still move. And so, it's kind of cool. I feel like they're setting up sort of like a Christopher Daniels, I still got it run for him, which I think will be cool to watch. I think Christopher Daniels is made to be a singles guy. So I mean, it'll be fun to see where that all goes. But yeah, nothing special, but I mean, nothing bad either. Good segment at least.
You know what? Going back and they showed the replay of the quote botch. It's very. I don't know. Is it a botch? Because it looks like upon reflection, he very easily planned it. Is that the brilliance of this storyline?
He could have easily, but at the same time, I feel like the AEW writers and the AEW backstage people, I feel like some of them are smart enough to, they see this thing happen, let's see what we can do with it. It might have been an honest mistake, but let's just see if we can turn this into something.
It's a bunch of millionaires, right? But it's just this one big scheme to finally, after all these years of making fun of them, to get back at Matthew of Botchamania. Put all their ducks in the room. Exactly. Put all their eggs in the basket to get Matthew out of there. They don't care about the company. Just fuck that guy.
Yep.
MJF segment, Colin. My God. Again, delivers on the mic. I got to be honest.
He's fantastic. I mean, before we get to that, let's talk about the match that was before that between Cody Rhodes and Dustin Rhodes.
Brothers.
Every week, I tell you, every week you just skip over one match, and it's like that's kind of a match we need to talk about.
It's because I'm so excited to be doing this, Colin.
That's what I'm talking about. But yeah, we had the Rhodes, I guess christened as the Brotherhood versus the Lucha Brothers. And I mean, I don't know about you, but I thought this is a fantastic match. I mean, we already know the Lucha Brothers, fantastic tag team. I think Cody and Dustin, another great tag team. I mean, this match, great for me. I mean, I gave it an A. I think this match was great.
Shout out to like that 10-year-old girl in the front row in like a custom Cody shirt who was like, it was like Ray Phoenix got up in her face in the camera pan. You know what I'm talking about? But she would just scowl.
I remember that, yeah. Ray Phoenix was just there, and she's just like, I don't like this.
It felt like an eternity watching that.
It really did. I was just like, Phoenix, she's not going to do what you want to do. Please stop. She doesn't know what to do.
Things are different here, Ray. Oh, sorry. I'm with you. This match was fine. It definitely, every match I see of him, especially this stage of the game, showcases Dustin Reynolds as one of the most underrated ring generals of all time, hands down. Look how many young guys he's helping simultaneously right now, just being on that roster in general.
I mean, I will say I did see a lot of highlights from his match with Sammy Guevara, and I mean, that fucking Canadian Destroyer onto the apron, it's like, Jesus Christ, he shouldn't be doing what he does.
I actually hated that. I hated that so much.
I'm sure you would. I mean, most people hate Canadian Destroyers now because they're so overdone. But I mean,
I only hated it because it was on the apron and it was so fucking picture perfect, right? Like he nailed it. It was scary looking. That's how good he nailed it. And I literally thought like that was the pin, and so did the crowd. And when he kicked out, it even took like the wind out of the crowd. And I feel like that's kind of where we're at in a way. Like fans want I don't want to get too adult, but like to compare it to, you know, with a woman, right? Just building up and building up. And sometimes as good as it feels, sometimes it's a bummer to already cross the finish line because sometimes the person you're with, you're into so much, right? You want to keep kind of, you know, it is what it is. Modern wrestling, LOL.
Right. But yeah, and I will say I liked somebody on Twitter, I think realistically, you were probably the one who replied to it. That's why I saw it. But there was someone on Twitter saying, like, AEW Dustin Rhodes is already better than everything Goldust was in WWE.
No, I replied to that bullshit.
I was going to say, I'm like, sit the fuck down. Calm down for a second. Dustin Rhodes is fantastic in every way, but calm down.
You know who is fantastic? Is Pentagon Jr. My God.
Absolutely.
More and more, he screams, "Why are you in a tag team?" I'm sorry, I want him to be a singles. He deserves better booking wise, and I get it, you know, whatever. But still, it's selfish reasons, I guess.
Right. Yeah, and I think it's great. After the match, Tony Schiavone in the ring with Cody, Goldust, fuck Dustin, whatever.
Coach Mike Ditka.
Right. Yeah. The enforcer, Arn Anderson, Cody's kind of like wingman and everything, and Tony Schiavone's like, what gives? You're going to accept the, he can't touch MJF until Revolution, the 10 lashes on live TV, the fucking cage match with Wardlow, whatever you want to call him.
Rocky's boy.
And
real quick, sorry, I don't want to cut you off because I know we're going to forget about him because he's an announcer. Isn't it crazy how like every week Tony Schiavone is just this cocky shit to the guys, but like he cowered at Brandy Rhodes earlier on commentary. It's always that parallel. Like he cowers from the women on these shows, but he's just throws in these smart remarks that should get his ass kicked on any wrestling show back in the day.
I think it's just because everyone is terrified of Brandy Rhodes. If they do her wrong, she'll put them in the Nightmare Collective storyline and ruin their career.
Oh, Stephanie syndrome.
Yeah, after that, Arn Anderson is just like, we're going to talk about that in the back, and we'll get back to you. And almost immediately, I mean, after they had left, but MJF hits the ring with Wardlow, and he's just like, hey, Cody, quit being a little bitch. Answer my fucking question. And out comes Diamond Dallas Page. I mean, I've never been tired of DDP, so, I mean, I'm okay with every time Diamond Dallas Page is on my TV screen.
Yeah. And of course, people losing their shit that this was awful and I saw it too going on like, oh man, this is going to be bad. He buried the Butcher and the Blade. Honestly, upon watching this, he only kind of got in 2 cheap diamond cutters. That's it. Then he got stomped by everyone. And it's not like he's not in shape, to be fair, Colin.
Well, the thing is, I've said this on multiple shows I've been on with you, Logan, any person I've been on a show with when this kind of thing has come up, I've talked about it before. I don't like the idea that people think these old-timers shouldn't be able to hold their own, or so to speak, against the newer, younger crowd that are technically, obviously, the Butcher and the Blade have a bigger future than DDP do right now because DDP is old and he's not, a current wrestler anymore.
It's not like it's Mick Foley out there kicking their ass.
But it's like Diamond Dallas Page, 3-time world champion. He's done so much. Why am I if he hits a diamond cutter on someone, why am I to immediately think, you're burying the younger talent? No, he's a wrestler. He can hold his own. It's not like he retired and threw everything he knew out the window.
Colin, I believe he's, 60 years old, correct?
Yeah, I mean, he's not old.
Okay.
I want to say he's at least somewhere in that.
AEW World's Heavyweight Champion is...
50?
Yeah.
51?
Yeah.
Yeah, Diamond Dallas Page is 63 years old.
There you have it.
It doesn't... And like you said, the AEW World Champion, 50 years old. It doesn't matter how old they are. I mean, yeah, okay. It'd be a bit strange if in the olden days Mae Young and Kelly were going at it and Mae Young just started throwing haymakers and dives and everything.
It's just like,
it'd be a bit off-putting, but I mean...
If anything, the biggest payoff Dallas Page and Robbie's going to get out of this is that true, like he teased in this little... I'm sorry, it was a long-winded DDP promo, and I fucking popped when MJF did like the jerk-off motion when he was like he kept plugging his Instagram and his Twitter. It was tremendous. No, see now MJF threw me off. Fucking A. Fucking A, it really did. It threw me. The jerk-off motion threw me off. Son of a bitch.
Who knows what you were?
It was something DDP. But it's not like they were putting the fucking strap on the guy, it's
exactly.
That's the biggest pay. There it is. The biggest payoff is just that retirement match, right? So if anything, it was just 2 diamond cutters, and that was it. It's not like he's out there just just clearing the roster every week. It was a segment. If anything, it made the heels look more chicken shit for beating down an old man gang style.
Right. It's stupid, and I read a bunch of wrestling websites and stuff like that, and they say, people are saying that the Butcher and the Blade have been devalued, so to speak, because they lost to Cody, and they got hit with the diamond cutters by DDP, and it's just like they've been there a month.
And these same people, Colin, those same fucking people, when you come at them sideways with something and their only defense is, well, it's a new company. They've only been around for a couple months. Okay. Who's to say that the Butcher and the Blade, the unit, the team, whatever, are meant to be taken seriously anyway? Maybe they are just supposed to be enhancement guys. It's a new company. We've barely seen them. We don't know what they're going to be booked like. Not every team can be a top fucking team.
Right. And so, you've got to give them time. You can't constantly, if this was if the Butcher and the Blade every single week was getting shit on, yeah, I'd be concerned. Yeah. But they're not.
I guarantee you they'll have the belts before the year's out. Guarantee you.
100%.
Yeah, but the promo was great. It was, I wouldn't say it's must-see, but after this, DDP, he took him out with the diamond cutters, then it was very awkward. He just kind of ran into the loaf that is known of war. And he just fell on his ass like an old woman would at the pool if she was running and she slipped. It was sad. Other than that little hiccup, it was what it was. And then you had the baby faces run down and all that stuff.
No sign of Cody anywhere.
Nope.
He never showed up.
Yeah.
But that could be because, he is going to accept these things, so he's not touching MJF until Revolution, so who knows?
Speaking of that, also earlier, after the Daniels stuff with the Dark Order, right? SCU are the shittiest friends ever. Did it take you long enough to come on down and help your friend?
I was going to say, it took a minute for them to get down there,
I always hated that throughout every era of wrestling when it would be booked like that. Like, well, where the fuck is their partner? Like, it took you long enough, asshole. Jesus Christ. Oh my. Colin, where did that take us to next? Top of your head.
Oh, we had the hometown kid Marco Stunt and the rest of Jurassic Express battling against best friends and freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy in a six-man tag team match.
You mispronounced Jesus Christ because, man, he's over as Jesus. Lord. More, I mean, I gotta say, dude, I mean, more and more each week. Even like the shot of that kid in the crowd they showed on the camera for the arena, like they popped huge too, just for a kid dressed like him. It's insane.
Oh yeah, and I mean, I remember. So I don't know why, but the match between Austin and Billy Gunn versus I think it was Proud and Powerful, but I won't swear to it. It got cut from AEW Dark, but I saw a clip of it was Billy Gunn with like a kid dressed as Orange Cassidy, and one of the cool things about this is the fact that a lot of kids, they go to wrestling shows and they're just there because it's bright and they might recognize someone from TV. But you have these kids that are dressed like Orange Cassidy, and this kid is in the ring. He can't be older than like 6 or 7, and he's like, his hands are in his pockets with his thumb tucked out, and he's going up to Billy Gunn, and he's like slowly hitting him in the shin with his heel, and then Billy Gunn falls back, and the kids pin him and everything like that. And it's like Orange Cassidy has, kids love this guy. And, like, he has such an impact on him because, like, they know what his thing is. They know his gimmick.
Yeah, I put the tweet out, too, about Marco Stunt. You won't find me really shitting on Marco Stunt or Orange Cassidy a lot because at the end of the day, people don't believe me. I do accept some comedy in my wrestling sometimes when it's done right, and it's done right with these two, I feel like. This just happened to be a case where the two met in the same match. This was the most offense we've seen out of Orange Cassidy to date, though. I will say that. People were shocked when he did a fucking move.
I was gonna say, like, it's like usually you get like, the slow shin hits. He'll do a kip up, and that's really about it. But no, we had front drop kicks, we had a dive, we had everything going on.
And look, people, I'm not an AEW defender, but I'm totally honest. Neither one of these guys offend me when I watch them. They don't. I'm more offended by a Young Bucks match than a Marco Stunt match. Guilty as sin.
Right. And I like Marco Stunt. He had posted something on Instagram the other day. He was shirtless, and he was standing on his toilet and taking a picture and everything like that. And it got a lot of attention because he's standing on the rim of the toilet, but the lid is not closed. He's just standing on the rim. So he could easily slip and fall, but he's like, "No, fuck it, I'm gonna go for it." And he's just a cool guy. He's funny. He gets it. He understands what he is. He understands why he's in the position he's in.
Yeah, for what it's worth, Chucky T does nothing for me. Sorry, for me personally, there's nothing there. He compliments Trent. I always want to say Beretta because that's what they called him in Japan. Pretentious fan, but Trent's the star in that team for me.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I think Trent's been the Shawn Michaels in almost every tag team he's ever been in, between his old team in WWE with Colin Croft and like this one, with Chuck Taylor. And I mean, I like Chuck Taylor, I do, but I think Trent is still the one with the bigger future in that company.
Begs the question, man: is Trent the most underappreciated guy in that company?
I would say he's easily one of the most underrated, for sure.
Him, Kip Sabian, guys like that.
One thing I did want to point out, and I know because you and I give them shit for it every time, and I mean we give shit for really any company who does this. When Orange Cassidy was setting up for his dive on Luchasaurus, I didn't notice it at first, but I noticed it when the dive hit. It was refreshing to see that Beretta and Chuck Taylor were holding Luchasaurus there, and Luchasaurus wasn't just standing there waiting for it to happen like a fucking idiot.
Right, yeah.
It's nice when dives make actual sense and they don't just stand there and look stupid. And
the only real offense that Stunt really got in this match is when he was assisted by one of his partners, and it's like literally they used Marco Stunt as like a 110-pound weapon, so it's going to hurt. Like
Right.
they'll power bomb him onto a guy or suplex him onto a guy. Their move I can't remember, but you know what I mean. It wasn't like he's out there giving guys fucking jackhammers and last rides. Like call him. It's Jesus Christ. It's not. Sometimes it's okay to be hokey. It's not worth wasting your time to always be salty. Otherwise, I will turn the channel. I'm not one of those people that can just do it for the sake of doing a show review. Like if this company ever gets, we've been there, Colin, with 205 Live. I'll tap.
Right, right. And I mean, and the thing I liked about this match is like it didn't mean really much of anything. It was there to be a match. It was there to showcase some guys, pop the crowd. But yeah, a lot of good stuff happened. I mean, everyone, they went home happy from this match.
Right
I mean,
team won.
Luchasaurus continued the hot streak. Jungle Boy got the first win of his young career, which is definitely a good thing. And unbeknownst to me, I had no idea about this. I knew that it was happening. I just didn't realize it was happening so soon. But the Chris Jericho Rockin' Wrestling Ranger at Sea Part 2 is in 2 weeks. And in 2 weeks, Jurassic Express is going to team up against Chris Jericho and Santana and Ortiz. So, I mean, this kind of gives them momentum heading into that. I'm curious if they'll record an episode of Dynamite on the cruise, if there'll be anything from the cruise shown on TV.
How do you have an event called Bash at the Beach coming up and you don't film it from that?
I mean, they already have a big enough. Well, there's only 4 matches announced so far. Granted, I think it's just a regular episode of Dynamite. It's just kind of like the one from last week or a couple weeks ago, where it's like it's special, but it's still just a normal episode.
Yeah. Huh.
To be fair, I pulled up the Bash at the Beach Wikipedia page just because I wanted us to give our predictions for that show, since it's kind of a special show and there's some matches announced. But it does say here it's a 2-part 10-day event, so to speak. So I mean, it'll be this show, but the series will continue on the cruise. So like there will be matches from the cruise that air on, I believe, the 22nd. So that episode of Dynamite. So at least they're keeping it consistent. At least they're doing something.
I like it, and I said it last week when you weren't here. I appreciated that it came from that amphitheater where Fight for the Fallen came from in Jacksonville last week. It doesn't always have to come from an arena, because then it makes you remember, the aesthetic makes you remember those shows more.
Yeah.
Because they're different.
I mean, that was the last match of the night, but then we had sort of the main event segment, I guess, if Jon Moxley will accept Chris Jericho's offer to join the Inner Circle.
I mean, to kind of just jump the gun on it, because I can't help it. I got to ask the question. Couldn't they just call somebody and have somebody come get the car because it's in their name, essentially?
Yeah.
If they're that bummed out about it. I couldn't stop thinking that throughout.
It's a good point. It is a good point.
Either way, it's time to get Moxley's decision. Will he join the Inner Circle? You got no Santana and Ortiz, by the way.
Yeah, I noticed that. But, I mean, they probably only didn't put him out there solely so it would make sense for when Moxley, turned on everyone again and stuff like that. He wouldn't have to, because I mean, I don't think Moxley could fight off 5 guys at once. So I mean, they probably did it for that reason alone.
Yeah. Oh, but he came out. This was dude. Honestly, I've seen this act played out a million times. This one was one of the better ones. This kind of style of will this guy join and blah blah blah. We've seen him with Daniel Bryan and the Wyatts. That's definitely one of the better ones. This one definitely didn't have that stress that the Daniel Bryan did. This one, throughout the promo, though, it did do a good job of making you think they were literally going to close out the show, and that was going to be the big groan from the internet. Oh, my God, they really turned Moxley heel. They did a good job of that until the very end when they did pull the trigger. Then I was like, oh, okay, here we go. Standard WWE booking with this. The renegade without a cause type syndrome. But it's not to say this was bad. It's just kind of this been here, done this feeling to it for me, Colin.
Yeah, no, I get that, but it was good for me at least, because I mean I knew what was going to happen. I had seen the clips on Twitter of him smashing the bottle of the bubbly against Jericho's head, but even still, they were dragging it out for so long, and that's not a bad thing. But they were dragging it out, and I even got to the point where I'm like, wait, did I imagine that he did that? Is he actually going to join the Inner Circle? What's happening here?
I know you appreciated the when they were like buddy for that little bit. That little shout out to their New Japan matches they had.
I mean, hey, AEW went undefeated at Wrestle Kingdom, man. You got to brag about it. But it was good. I liked it. Moxley, he played with it too. I mean, he started kind of like insulting the fans and everything like that. He responded to the "You Sold Out" chants and everything, and it worked. It worked really well.
Drink a lot of wine. Wine. This roster is turning into an AA meeting, for Christ's sakes.
I was gonna say, I mean, they clearly don't have a no alcohol on the premises rule like most jobs do.
Yeah, but no, he hands him the keys and all is well, and he's hugging Hager. Hager smiled, for Christ's sake.
It's funny. I was looking at this. And I'm just like, oh, look at this WWE reunion of people. It's other than Sammy Guevara. You got Jack Swagger, Dean Ambrose. I mean, Chris Jericho is still Chris Jericho.
It kind of looked like that ceremony they did on WWE a couple years ago, where like the fans couldn't stop chanting or Daniel Bryan and CM Punk was snickering.
Right, yeah.
It was like all the world champions of the past or whatever.
I remember that one, yeah.
But no, Ambrose turned. Moxley turned. He smashed the bottle over Jericho's head. Jericho sold it like like Meryl Streep or some shit. It was hilarious, just laying in Hager's arms.
It was great. But I like the way he did it. He's just like, by the way, Chris, just kidding. I'd never join the Inner Circle.
Maybe at first I thought like his eye was literally starting to swell, but then I just realized, oh, it's Lumpy Jericho. That's right. We're in that era. I couldn't help it. The memes are everywhere.
You can only hold off on the dad bod for so long.
I tried. I really did. Colin, we made it. That's how they closed out this episode of Dynamite. Dynamite! What do you grade it?
I mean, everyone shit on this episode. They thought it was bad, but I mean, other than the stupid Nightmare Collective stuff, I thought everything else was really good. They forwarded stories. I'll give it a B+.
I'm gonna have to go probably a C+ or a B-, somewhere in there in between. Maybe the negative on the show was so bad, like that thing I said at the beginning, where it's kind of hard not to come out of this episode just with that kind of be the overlying thing you can't get out of your head. If you can filter through that, nothing on this was really must see except maybe angle reasons as far as the Moxley stuff. The opener was solid. Probably the match of the night was the Rhodes and the Lucha Brothers, like you said. Women's title match in ring was fine. It could have sufficed, on any NXT women's match. In ring wise, it's just we all know, not even bringing it up again. Not even doing it. Not even. Thee shall never talk about that again. We all know what went down.
Real quick before we go, Bash at the Beach, AEW's version is going to be next week on January 15th. There's 4 matches announced so far, so let's give our predictions, I guess, as sort of the mini episode goes. The first match is Pac versus Darby Allin.
I'm going Pac. There's no reason he's not winning. That's that rubber match with Omega coming up.
Yeah, I think I'm going with Pac as well. If I see Darby Allin winning only if Omega fucks with him and causes a distraction type of thing. But
I see this more of that Darby loses, but he looks strong, just like against Cody.
Yeah. Next match announced after the events of the Nightmare Collective: Hikaru Shida and Chris Statlander versus Awesome Kong and Melanie Cruz.
You got to go K-Stat and Shida.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing. I think Melanie Cruz is one of those cases where it's like she'll be there for the duration of the storyline, but I don't think she'll do a whole lot. I don't even think she'll be in the company past this whole storyline, so I think she's obviously the fall girl.
At least long enough to grow her fucking hair back.
Yeah.
And I feel like she's there to eat the pin in this because, let's be honest,
Exactly.
Awesome Kong isn't mobile enough to get up and down from a just prone position.
Right. This one also pretty easy to call, but Maxwell Jacob Friedman, the Butcher and the Blade versus Diamond Dallas Page, Dustin Rhodes, and QT Marshall.
I feel like QT Marshall's clearing fucking house, personally. I feel like he's had enough, and we're going to see he's going to be behind the Dark Order. No, MJF and company. By the way, we did not bring up on the episode. Did you know? Okay, when they're making the save for DDP, like it was supposed to be like this rush down to the baby. It was QT Marshall leading the pack. Crickets. In his jumpsuit.
I don't think anyone knows who QT Marshall really is.
Is he a Japan young boy? He's always got the fucking tracksuit on, for Christ's sakes. I don't know.
All I know is I want one of those Bullet Club tracksuits, but not at the price of $140. No, thank you, Japan.
Colin, real quick, you got to pick Chase Owens, QT Marshall. Who you going with?
I'm gonna have to be a firm believer that there's three things that are given in life: death, taxes, Chase Owens eats the pin. So I'm still gonna go with QT Marshall.
Jesus. And by the way, if you made it this far in the show, then we don't really give a shit. We can talk about stuff like that.
Exactly.
You're a trooper.
Yeah, I mean, thank you more than anything.
Exactly.
I got to go with MJ Butcher and the Blade. A pretty predictable episode this week, honestly. The other match announced: Jon Moxley versus Sammy Guevara. I got to go with Moxley. I don't think Guevara's gonna pin the Mox anytime soon.
The Mox.
The Mox.
The ratings. God damn it.
Good job, Travis.
Either way, they do not reflect the quality of the episode because, you know, a lot of eyes were on this one, but this was definitely a transitional episode of Dynamite to just bigger things. Just move the train along kind of episode. Nothing really must see.
Yeah, no, I can get behind that. I mean, it was a good episode, though. Can't complain.
Just like this, episode 12 is in the books, Colin.
We did it. We fucking did it. We're back.
We're back. Good to have you back, my man.
Oh, it's good to be back.
One more time, before we get out of here, where can everyone catch you and all that you do? The one thing besides the jacket.
Follow me on Twitter. It's all I got. It's all I do. I live on Twitter. Please. Follow me on Twitter.
Please. At Uber Thai guy.
Change my name.
No, there was a lag there. It didn't pick you up, so I'm at Uber Thai guy. Get over there. Follow Colin on Twitter. Again, thank you, ProWrestlingJournal.com, having us on here. If you're listening to this on here, Hibiki TMD and YouTube, get over there, ProWrestlingJournal.com. If it happened in a ring, they're your thing. So many talented writers, all the goodness, all that. Pro Wrestling Journal podcast also. Right down below, hit that red button, all the goodness, retro gaming and pro wrestling. The alternative is in the books right here next week. From Colin and I, see you then.